All right. Here we are back. It's been a while. And welcome to Between Two Teachers, where we discuss the current issues in education locally, statewide, nationally, and sometimes internationally. So, whatever's important right now in education, we'll let you know about it. So, today is Thursday, March the 2nd, and my name is Consuelo Lara.
And my name is Madeline Cronenberg, and I welcome you to March. It's been a while, as Consuelo said. I'm going to begin, as we always do, with our land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that we are gathered on the ancestral territory of Huichin, which is part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkin-speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people of the past and present. And we continue to encourage you to support the Justice for Muwekma effort, which is to make sure that the Muwekma people get recognized as a tribe and receive federal recognition so that they get the benefits of federal recognition. And we also encourage you and anyone you know to go to the East Bay Regional Park District website to learn the history of the Muwekma people in the Bay Area, here in the East Bay, and look at the curriculum that's been developed, which lives on that website. So that it's basically fourth grade curriculum that allows, that is the framework for what our children are taught about our Native Americans in the East Bay. And so there's that. And we also begin with a request that you like and share this video. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel.
And just that land acknowledgement just shows that our values are, we really support, encourage ethnic studies for everyone. And when we see it under attack, it's very tragic. We need to strengthen it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we need to call out everywhere that it exists. And the Native American part of the ethnic studies really is something that needs to be elevated because it's been so diminished. And not only that, that is specifically one of the ones where we've been taught an opposite story for years.
Yeah.
Right. The whole mission story. So now once you know, when you don't know the truth, then you're not responsible for what you're doing. But now we know we were teaching something that was completely planted and not true.
So
that's why we call it out every week. What's going on nationally? I just wanted to say one thing that's happened. We haven't been here since, we haven't been here at all in February. So this is episode number 191, which says a lot for us. Here we are in episode 191, and what's the big news in nationally is Mr. DeSantis, or Governor DeSantis, who is in fact the leader of the Republican Party, has taken a big interest in education issues, and his one of his latest efforts is probably going to do away with AP courses in Florida. And if that happens, I mean, that will be a ripple. It has a good chance of rippling across the United States. Now, Mr. DeSantis, this began because he didn't want any AP courses taught on African-American history. Right, this began there in the culture wars and has only expanded, and it has to do with trust in teachers and who's developing the AP courses. There's a big conflict here, and the College Board, the people who run the AP courses, are trying to figure out how to save their business, because this is a real threat to that business. But it's also a threat to truth, because he really has this other perspective that he wants taught to the children of Florida, which is very unfair to them and something that needs to be addressed, but it is a big issue there right now.
Right. And, it's important for us to look at this because we were talking earlier about how there's this conservative template, where, like you said, it's going to spread across, the country. And to think that, oh, that's happening in Florida, it can't happen here. It absolutely can. We need to be prepared and we need to know what we can do. It's just like the violence thing. Oh, that could never happen here. We have to be prepared because it's coming, and that's what they're trying to do across the country. That's why there's that big pact of money for people to run for boards so that they can change this locally into
Right.
a very conservative country. So
Right.
it's important to look at it very closely and follow it.
It is very important, and it's important to see where it comes from. There's a conservative organization called ALEC that exists to draft legislation. They draft the templates for the legislation so that other organizations don't have to sit down and start from scratch. Right?
So Alex is a neutral kind of.
No, ALEC is not neutral at all. ALEC is run by right-wing billionaires.
Oh, okay.
ALEC, ALEC. Just look that up.
Okay, that's good to know.
So, and that's where this is kind of part of it is going to come from.
Okay.
Now we have a lot of legislation coming through the California legislative bodies as well, and I'll be giving a lot more of that as time goes on. But just know it's percolating up there, and there are a lot of interesting bills that are coming up. One of the most interesting ones is from the standpoint of the culture wars that we're talking about right now, is one that would make sure that there is a bathroom for transgender students in every school, which is the opposite of the districts that are trying, and the states, and the legislation that really is trying to pull any support from transgender students, where they're trying to completely diminish and eliminate support for transgender students. So this is a big flashpoint in the culture wars right now, and in how we're handling this issue on our school sites.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know what happens with the bill.
Yeah, good.
The other updates, I wanted to do 2 updates, because when we left, the West Contra Costa Unified School District had not made a decision or come to a negotiated settlement with United Teachers of Richmond, and now they have. And so there has been a ratified agreement. There's going to be, it's a 14.5% raise. The position on community schools is as the teachers had asked, right? So it's not perfect. There were certainly many other things in there. Contracts are always long and messy, but the 2 big things that the union was fighting for, they were able to be successful on.
Absolutely. So it really is a victory. Absolutely.
It is a victory. It is a big victory. So
yes. And the community schools will be supported. I mean, this is really great news. And many people talk about, well, how did that happen? How they, I like to think it's like when the city officials came and spoke, that was so powerful to me. So maybe, that pressure, people have to feel the pressure from the community about the direction we want.
Last night, the superintendent was discussing the budget, and he did say, somebody brought up, well, like, why do we basically give in and give them the 14.5% raise? And he said, well, we knew there would be a strike. And the deal was they had to believe it. And they didn't believe it unless you really came and showed up, because otherwise it's an empty threat, right? Yeah. And they've been threatening, they've always threatened it, but then they've never done it. So they didn't believe they would do it until they did have, as you said, everybody showed up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they were able to say, well, we have a 97% vote. Do you think you're not getting, they're going to go out. They're going to go out. And so that was, it is effective. It is effective, and people want to work together, but you're not going to be, you need to be able to communicate and read the room. And that's what they were able to do.
Yep.
In Oakland, on the other hand, there also has been a lot of movement because of the confusion around the election, where there had been an aberration and irregularities in counting, and it turned out they had certified the election of Mr. Resnick, when in fact, ultimately they discovered that Mr. Hutchinson had the most votes. So at the beginning of February, they were still talking about it, and at one point there was a lawsuit in process, but it became clear to Mr. Resnick that he hadn't been elected. And there are many difficult decisions being made. And I think Mr. Resnick, to his credit, didn't want to be either sitting there and abstaining or sitting there and casting a vote when he knew he wasn't the one who was legitimately elected. Even if you maybe could have made some sort of legal case because of the fact that they certified the wrong person, which is what his case was based on.
Yeah.
So he resigned. So now they have 6 people on the board, which is not a good number, because 6 is not an, 6 is split, and they have been unable to pass. They've been unable to work together. So as of right now, last night they were trying to pass some things to settle their budget issues, and they weren't able to do it. So they need to decide on a process and to appoint somebody new to replace Mr. Resnick, or to have another election, have a special election in that district to replace Mr. Resnick.
And what about the whole idea of like who came in second, or who the other?
Yeah, well, that's what got messed up, right? So Mr.
Okay.
Hutchinson won that district. So what happens is, and this is the strange thing, Mr. Hutchinson is on the board. He ran for another district. So now they need to have an election for the district that he's vacating. He will take over, or whatever it is, District 5, and it's District 4 and 5. And then the other district has to have an election, but it's not till April 22nd. They don't have to do it. So they get,
And they can't appoint anybody in the meantime?
they can, but they have to agree to do it. There's this thing about it.
And you got 6, so they're not going to agree on anything.
Well, they have to agree on something, because so anyway, that's where things are in Oakland. So tell us about the county.
Well, we're moving along in the county. The great news is this Friday, we're going to have our retreat it's in person at the county office. And I'm hoping that it's recorded and that people will be able to see it, and also see it again if they weren't able to watch it live. Because I think this is a very important retreat. We're going to talk about values and mission goals, and see if we are on the same page. And I'm the board president, and in talking with the facilitator, I was saying, we need to get back to the why. Why are we here? Why? And then of course everybody wants to talk about your roles. This is your role, that's not your role, etc. Okay, that's fine. And because you can't have, I think you can't build the details like a house. You got to have a foundation, and the foundation will be our values and our mission and our goals. And hopefully at this point, superintendent has her goals and the board has their goals. They should be not goals, mission. They should be the same. We should have a shared mission. Now our goals can be different, because she's operational and we're more aspirational and values oriented. And also the strongest thing is we represent the community. We were elected. And it's so funny because I'm getting the feeling like, as soon as you get elected, you just close that door to the community. And now you're just on this board, and you've got to go with the flow and go along with the program. And you don't listen, and you don't even give them the opportunity. So I'm having a real conflict right now, personally, about the messages of they have the word community engagement, and they'll say, I said, what are we doing that? Oh, we have a parent on this committee. And so we check that off. We've got community engagement. That's not community engagement. So it's a real struggle right now. The attitude is one of, we've done that, and oh, don't go to these meetings. Officials should not be there because it inhibits people from sharing. And I think when staff is there, it inhibits teachers for sure. But when board members are there, parents are very grateful and they're very glad that we're there, because I've heard that many, many times. And I've also heard, I'm glad you're there and you speak for us and you're our voice. That's my role. So I'm just ready with this. We got to break down this wall, this myth, and we just have to bring it down, that you don't talk to people and that you don't bring those things into your role as a board member. So we looked at what are the best practices and what things, how we can as board members really use our role to connect with the community and to have a stronger community engagement role. So some of the things we talked about for doing this, newsletters, having a newsletter about what's happening in the area and what's going on that people should know, having a regular meeting time. I've been doing Zoom meetings with the teachers and also constituents. It started with the teachers, but I opened it up for all and posted it. Having an active social media presence is really a good thing to do, but participation in things like school site councils. I would encourage every school board member to go to school site council meetings, as many as you can. They're usually accommodating, working people, and find out what's going on in the schools and hear, really listen to what's going on so that you can be informed and come to the board and say, well, here's what I'm hearing from the community. Here are their concerns. So don't let anybody tell you, no, you shouldn't do that. Because it's just very subtle, this thing. So that's
the reason there's no, you have taken an oath to serve a community. So you need to understand what's going on in the community. I mean, besides the site council meetings, there are PTA meetings. Board members should go to their PTA meetings so that they can hear what's on, what's happening, so that they can understand the issues that their community has. And it's PTA, it's PTO, there are lots of other affinity groups that have meetings. They want to hear from their board members. It's an important role. The reason that somebody might tell you not to go is in anticipation of litigation, that you would somehow compromise yourself or your role. That is not a reason not to fulfill the role you were elected to. That is not a reason to not fulfill it. The role you're elected to demands of you. You shouldn't run for it if you don't intend to represent that community. And it means to hear them out, to understand, not to wait for them to come, oh, well, I'll hear about them if they come to our meetings. They may not know when your meeting is. And that's being really unfair to them, to your community members, right? That's, people will come. And when they do come in big numbers, that's a real sign that you haven't been listening to them.
Yeah.
And that, right?
You need to go to where they are. And board members need to know that when you get elected and you win, that doesn't mean you've been hired by the district. It means now you are the voice of the people. And so keep that door wide open and
that's right.
Listen and speak.
That's right. That's the difference between you and staff. And so when you have people, the people who are going to have a chilling effect on a meeting are not the people who have the power to represent you and to deliver something. They're the people who have the power to retaliate against you.
That's a
right?
word
And
I
let's
hear,
just be
retaliation.
really honest. That's what has the chilling effect. So if there's a chilling effect, it's more of an effect from staff. If you're upper management, you're in the direct line of being able to fire somebody.
Yeah,
That has a chilling effect, right? When my boss comes to a meeting, when you're, this is why in faculty rooms, administrators don't hang out in the faculty room
yep,
for that
Yeah.
very reason.
yeah. So it's a matter of changing kind of the climate and the culture that's been in place for many, many years. You'll hear the phrase, oh, we don't do it that way. This is the way we've been doing it. You want to build a climate of trust, of collaboration, of how do we work as a team and cooperatively, and not this building of barriers,
Right.
but building bridges. So yeah, that's our advice.
Yes, that's it. And to understand that if someone tries to tell you not to do that, what is the agenda behind that? Right? What is the agenda behind that advice? Right? And if it is, well, maybe someday someone will sue you. Don't cross the street if you think maybe you'll get hit by a car. Now, there are things you have to do. Maybe someday someone will sue you. Maybe they will. And then if they do, you address it then. But you don't have to have that threat, the threat of that litigation, inhibit everything you were elected to do. That's the big point here.
Excellent. We have a role model for that too.
We do. So now it is time for our shout out. And our shout out is to the role models who have shown extraordinary ability to reach out to their communities. And there are several, I will say, in Oakland, the Oakland School Board, with all of their problems, certainly has they have two role models that I would call out. One of them is their board president currently, Mr. Hutchinson, who does a great job of speaking out on his social media. And he's always been a community organizer and activist. And so that hasn't stopped at all since he's been on the board. There's another member of the board who they're not all in agreement on everything, but they both have the ability to reach out to their constituents. And that's Sam Davis. He has a really strong newsletter, and he does reach out to his community on a regular level. But both of them are eclipsed by the superstar of community engagement, right? Who's in West Contra Costa, and who we look at as somebody who is the ultimate model in how she has been able to build trust with her community and be able to know that because she is so very embedded in them, that she can speak with that information and people can trust her because they know she knows what she's talking about.
Yep.
And that is trustee Jamila Smith Folds.
Yes. Just follow her on Facebook to see all the things that she does, all the meetings she goes to, and she can speak with authority about what the community is saying and how they feel about things. And it's just amazing. Yeah, she's out there 100%.
And I know that other board members are also out, but what they need to do is share where you go. Share it out. It's one thing to go, it's another thing to share it out with other people so that we can see where you've been. And also to then show how that's informed your decision making, because that's the reason you're going, right? Is to be able to be a voice for people and to have your visits in the community and the outreach that you have to the community inform the decisions that you're making. And I know many, many board members do it, but the idea is how you get out what you've done. That's the next step, right? And one reason you might not do it is because of these the idea that people will tell you not to do it, and that's what we're trying to make sure you don't listen to that. Don't listen to that. Get it out there, and be a part of the community, because that is how we get better and stronger.
Absolutely.
So until next week, this is the end of episode 191. We'll see you next time for 192. Bye-bye.
Oh, bye-bye.
Yeah.